Hey YouTube, what's going on? Abyssal here, and today I'm going to be giving you a quick Frost DK guide for 7.2, which recently came out and added the whole new artifact talent tree progression. It gave us one more trait in all of our 3 traits, and it gave us the new little 4 traits that we can get. So I'm going to be going over the Frost DK recommended path for this new progression. First off, after you have 35 traits, you unlock the new traits after you do the quest line, and the first thing you should pick up is Ferocity of the Ebon Blade. This is a phenomenal trait. It gives you back your power if you did have 54 traits, so it's obviously a must pick up. Then you have runefrost. What this does is it increases your runic empowerment chance to trigger by 20%. That's 20% onto what you have already, so it's not like you're going to be having a 35% chance to trigger runic empowerment. Now it's 20% chance onto the 1.5% chance per, so it's 1.8% chance now. So it's still a must pick up. It does add about 5% total, but it's not as good as people think. But it does give you a chance to get to Runic Chills and then Thronebreaker. Runic Chills is incredible. It will knock down on average about 1 minute and 30 seconds off of the cooldown of Syndragos' Fury. And if you have the pants, it'll knock off about 40 to 45 seconds. And then you obviously pick up Thronebreaker. Thronebreaker is about 100k DPS increase for single target. Same thing for AoE. Doesn't add any AoE damage, but it's an incredible single target and it synergizes very well with Runic Chills. Then we'll quickly go through what you should get for the 4 to 4 ones, and we'll go through the order of that. So the first one you want to pick up is Blast Radius. Blast Radius is your best trait, obviously. We know that from experience. It just adds so much damage onto the rotation if you're running Freezing Fog, which most people are obviously running. So you want to pick up Blast Radius first, then you want to pick up either ambidexterity or Dead of Winter. This is a toss-up depending on what your progression is looking like. If you are working on a boss like Tychondrius, if you're working on a boss like Chronomatic Anomaly, if you're even working on a boss like Scorpiron, if you're having trouble on those progression bosses, then you want to pick up Dead of Winter or Remorseless Winter. If you're working on a boss like Star Augur or Croesus, you're going to want to pick up ambidexterity because it does give you a slightly more single target than Dead of Winter does. This is a phenomenal pickup though. And then next up, we want Nothing But Boots. This increases the critical strike damage done by Obliterate by 6% each. Now, this is phenomenal because Killing Machine does guarantee you a crit strike on Obliterate. So you get about 60% of your bullets to crit. An extra 6% damage on that is pretty huge, actually. Next up, we want Cold as Ice. This increases your frost damage you deal by 1% each trait, so it's an extra 1% frost damage. That's 1% damage onto things like Howling Blast, Breath of Syndragosa, Remorseless Winter, all of those. It just doesn't buff Crystalline Swords, Obliterate, or your melee attacks. Next up, we have Overpower. This gives you a 3% chance to add an additional 3 runic power onto your Obliterate. So your Obliterate has basically a 3% extra chance in order to generate an additional, or a 10% chance to generate an additional 3% runic power per trait. It doesn't increase the percent, it just increases the amount of runic power you generate. So you have a 10% chance to generate 12 if you have 4 to 4 on this. Next up is Bad to the Bone. This is the Razor Ice trait and increases your Razor Ice Runeforge damage by 15% per trait. Very negligible, very low damaging, but it is extra damage. Next up we have Frozen Skin. This increases your armor by 3%, so you'll have 13% armor increase if you have 4 to 4 in this trait. And last but not least, we have one of the most useless traits, but it's still a great trait, is Ice in Your Veins. This is great if your raid leader calls that you need to top yourself off, or the healers are and you gotta top yourself, you gotta pop a defensive or something, pop Icebound Fortitude, pop Death Strike, use a proc Death Strike or a regular Death Strike, and you'll heal back to full health from this. 400% shouldn't really do much more than 300%. That's why this trait is kind of negligible, but it's still a nice little addition to have for PvP, world PvP, and questing in general. Okay, that about wraps it up for the trait progression. I hope you guys found this video useful, and I will see you guys next time.